All right, guys. I think this is working. I think so. I'm on the road right now, so this is not my normal quality. No intro today because I don't have it. I'm on this laptop. Look, we're live. It looks like it's working. I got it set up. All right. We're live. The Hoops Nerd Show is here. We are on the road. I think this will be the only one of this type of quality. I'm on my laptop I brought, and I was able to get OBS downloaded and get this all set up on my YouTube channel. So, Utah gets the loss. This was massive, guys, and I'm on one single screen here on a touchpad. So this is not going to be the same show. I'm not quite sure all the things we're even going to be able to do, but we're at least live, and I wanted to talk about that game. And I have been so mad at Utah the last week. The Utah Jazz came into this one. They had won 2 of their last 3 games, and I was not happy. All right, we're all set up. Sorry, guys. This is going to be one of the more janky live streams we've done. But Utah gets the win, and we've got to give Utah credit where credit is due. Where they had screwed things up before, they got it right this time. I mean, it got a little hairy. It took a game winner from Scoot Henderson. By the way, Scoot Henderson had honestly a career night tonight. He goes like 20 and 10. What was Scoot Henderson tonight? Scoot Henderson was, let's see, 18 and 10 tonight. 2 steals, only 1 turnover. Scoot Henderson was the difference in this one. Then some big time minutes from Donovan Clingan. Shaedon Sharpe was fantastic for the Shaedon Sharpe was the player of the game for the Blazers, as well as Deni Avdija. Honestly, before we talk about the Jazz, I just want to talk about this Blazers team. I don't know who's running the show there. The coaching's not good. I know Chauncey Billups wasn't in this one, but I have just not been impressed with what their coaching staff does. And their front office, too, it just seems like, what is your plan? You can basically look at this game, look at the players that played well, and those are the guys they need to build around. Jeremy Grant, they should trade him as soon as they can with that max contract he got. He is not having a great season. Tonight he had a good game against the Jazz. Good game, which is 14 points, and he had really good percentages. But the guys that you got to keep, you've got to keep Tamani Kamara. You got to get rid of DeAndre Ayton as fast as you can. That trade made no sense when it happened, and the fact that he's still there boggles my mind. They have Robert Williams, DeAndre Ayton, and Donovan Clingan. It should be Donovan Clingan. So you keep Tamani Kamara. That is such a big time pickup. I know he couldn't hit a 3 tonight, but his defense matters and his athleticism on the floor. Shaedon Sharpe was absolutely incredible tonight. He's their best player at this point. You've got to build around Shaedon Sharpe. Everyone else that takes away, you've got to jettison Anthony Simons from this team as soon as you possibly can. I cannot think of a more overrated player in the NBA than Anthony Simons. He didn't shoot the ball well today. I'm guessing he has good numbers shooting. In fact, I'm going to go look at it right now. Sorry, guys, I can't share my screen because I'm on my laptop out. But he's going 17 points per game right now, 2 assists, or 2 rebounds, 4.8 assists per game. But what he does for them, percentage-wise, he's shooting 32% from 3 this season and 40% from the field. You cannot get rid of him soon enough. What an absolute waste of time. Unbelievable. Simons to Orlando, maybe, Ben. Maybe. They need to. They need to get rid of him. He does not help them. Scoot Henderson should be the starting point guard. And if he's not the guy that you thought he was, well, then it leads you to getting another player that you can build around. But Shaedon Sharpe, Tamani Kamara, they need to keep Scoot Henderson. Let's see. Then let's see. You jettison DeAndre Ayton. You jettison Anthony Simons. You keep Scoot Henderson. Deni Avdija. I didn't make a ton of sense to me why they tried to get a good player, but he had 27 points tonight. Avdija was incredible tonight. 69% from the field, 50% from 3. He is absolutely a keeper. And then Donovan Clingan. That's your core players. And then everyone else, whatever. But you need to be running the ball through Scoot. You need to be running the ball through Shaedon Sharpe. Clingan is absolutely a game changer for them. There is no world or any player that anyone who knows anything about building a basketball team would not put DeAndre Ayton on the floor in front of Donovan Clingan. Clingan is absolutely a game changer. They hit a home run with that pick. Scoot Henderson showing tonight why he can be that guy. He's playing, 10 assists tonight, 18 points. He was phenomenal. And if he can play like he did tonight, then you've got yourself a point guard, and you just get more picks, and you just keep getting better. This Blazers team is doing things that I was seeing the Jazz do even last week, and some of the things the Jazz did last offseason. That makes no sense. You don't have to sign Jeremy Grant to a max contract just because he's on your team. You don't have to do that. You don't have to sign DeAndre Ayton or trade for DeAndre Ayton. They get Robert Williams, who they should trade, but he's always injured, so they're going to have a hard time doing that. They have 3 centers, 3 rotation centers. What are they doing? It makes no sense to me. All right, so that's my thoughts on the Blazers. I'm so happy for Skook. I loved him in the draft. It's been such a head scratcher, and I think honestly, Anthony Simons is the reason. How this Blazers team keeps trying to keep Anthony Simons is beyond me. These types of moves hurt your team long term. They absolutely do. Having DeAndre Ayton and Anthony Simons playing in front of the other guys makes no sense, and they're losing games anyway. So what are you gaining? You gain nothing. You could go out and get a pick possibly from Orlando, trading Simons or whoever. Maybe the Bucks would want Anthony Simons. Someone like that who needs scoring. The Lakers, who knows? But for whatever reason, they keep playing those guys, and it just hurts them long term. The Jazz need to pay attention and learn from this because they have the same things. Let's go and talk about the Jazz. So, Utah, I have been angry at the Utah Jazz, and rightfully so, because they've been making boneheaded decisions, and they changed it tonight. Tonight was exactly what they needed to do. Keontae George, who I'm guessing if he had the choice would probably play, but they're being extra careful keeping him off the floor. John Collins is also not playing right now, and they also, who did they not play tonight as well? So Collier starts. Jordan Clarkson doesn't play. Who, for whatever reason, Jordan Clarkson is on the team. The same head-scratching reasons as to why Anthony Simons and all these guys on the Blazers keep getting minutes. Same thing. Why is Jordan Clarkson? Did anyone during this game think, I wish Jordan Clarkson was playing? Not a single one. Everyone on this live stream is just rooting for the Jazz to lose. That is the only thing that matters, because Utah needs a top pick to put on this team. Utah does not have a top 10 player on the roster, and that's what they need. That's what you're going for. And hopefully the Jazz can win the lottery, but they can't do it unless they do the things like they did tonight, where they play Svi Mikhailuk, Isaiah Collier, and then the guy that doesn't make sense to me right now is Colin Sexton. Colin Sexton had 11 assists tonight, 19 points. He was 42% from 3. It's really good, but I don't understand what the Jazz get from that. What do the Jazz get from that? It doesn't make a lot of sense. So the fix right now for the Jazz basically is trading Colin Sexton and running Isaiah Collier out there every single night. The other thing the Jazz did tonight that was really important and really helped was they played Cody Williams. He had a -18. He had the lowest plus minus of everyone on the team, and that's exactly what you need to have happen. They played Cody Williams in the G League. That's fine, but at a certain point, he's got to get minutes on the floor. Utah is getting 3 more rookies next offseason. At some point, you've got to play these guys, and that's what they did. And here's the thing. He either plays well and develops and becomes an absolute stud, or he does what he does tonight and he gets a -18. Now, it doesn't mean that Cody Williams played terrible. I mean, he didn't play very well tonight, but he played like a rookie. But if you look at his raw numbers, he was 2 for 3 from the field. He took 1 corner 3 and he knocked it down. And he did a couple other things. Guess what? Cody Williams is going to be a lot longer and lot bigger project than we thought, and that's fine. That's what these rookies are. Now, I was talking about it with Clint on the live stream at Playback, and Utah has to get a top guy in this draft, and then things are going to get interesting next season. But basically, Utah has to trade John Collins. They have to trade Colin Sexton, and here's why. Utah does not have Taylor Hendricks playing right now because of the injury. But think about what this team is going to be if you keep Lauri Markkanen. You are going to have Walker Kessler. You're going to have Bryce Sensabaugh, Keontae George, Taylor Hendricks, Kyle Filipowski. Oh, wait, let me start over. Walker Kessler. All right, there we go. Then the following draft, you had 3 players. You had Keontae George, you had Taylor Hendricks, and Bryce Sensabaugh. That's 4 players. Then the following season, the Jazz draft last offseason, they draft Cody Williams, Isaiah Collier, and Kyle Filipowski. That's 7 young players that they need to play. On top of that, you've got 3 more players coming in the upcoming draft. So that means there are 3 rookies that they're going to draft in this one. That's 10 players that they are going to be playing, young players, and Lauri Markkanen. That's 11 players on the roster right there. How are you playing Colin Sexton, John Collins, and anyone else, any of these other veterans? You can argue that you should be giving Juzang minutes, sure. But guys like Svi Mikhailuk and Colin Sexton and John Collins and Jordan Clarkson, they don't fit into the long-term picture. It doesn't make sense. It doesn't matter. Ben, letting Colin Cooking inflates the trade value. If they land in the top 4 and get first for John the Baptist and Sexton, that's a big W. I totally agree. But if you are playing Sexton, and I think at this point, don't you think that Sexton's value is more or less set? I think everyone can kind of see that Colin Sexton has turned into a really nice player, and I think his value is pretty much set. At this point, Danny Ainge and Justin Zanuck need to make the trade, and Ryan Smith needs to let it happen. One thing about these trades is the owner has to sign off on it. Both owners do. Ryan Smith has to not make any more meddling decisions with the Jazz roster. They've got to do this right. 10 young players plus Lauri Markkanen is 11. Then you had Colin Sexton and John Collins and Jordan Clarkson. That's the roster. There's no room for guys like Johnny Juzang. There's no room for guys like that you develop out of the G League, right? So Utah has to make these trades because they've got to get at the top of the draft. They just have to. And so this is a long way of me saying the Jazz did the right thing tonight. They played Collier. They played Cody Williams. They played these guys that, Collier was 3 for 10 from the field. That's fine. He's a rookie. He's trying to learn the game. Cody Williams, the same thing. He was a -18, but he hit a 3 and he was 2 for 3 from the field. He did some nice things, some positive things. That's how it's going to have to go because Utah still needs their absolute superstar, which they don't have. You know what I mean? So what was making me so frustrated before was that we're seeing guys like Jordan Clarkson and Colin Sexton and Lauri Markkanen and Svi Mikhailuk and those are the guys getting major, and John Collins. That's a full starting roster right there getting tons and tons of run. And that's fine if you're trying to win the game. But what's the goal then? Are we just trying to win games? If that's the goal, fine. But we were told before the season starts that the Jazz are trying to play, they're trying to develop their young players. And honestly, we kind of saw very obviously that Utah was trying to clear the path for those young players to play, which has 2 things. They develop and you get a top pick. But at a certain point, it seems like Utah was just kind of fine pivoting and letting all these veterans play. And some of that was not their fault. Taylor Hendricks gets hurt at the start of the season, which kind of opened that path for John Collins. But at a certain point, the Jazz kind of lost their eye on the prize. Well, tonight, 100%, you got to give the Jazz credit. They did the right thing. Honestly, I was cheering out of my mind with Clint during the live stream because guess what? Will Hardy was in on it. And I was so freaking grateful and proud, and I love Will Hardy for doing it. There was a period where the Jazz had like Cody Williams on the floor with Isaiah Collier. Oh, and we didn't even mention, Filipowski was on the floor, who by the way hit 2 big threes. Filipowski is an absolute player, guys. We had a corner 3 from Drew Eubanks tonight, and I about lost it. I was like, at this point, the gods must hate us. The basketball gods hate us because Drew Eubanks is... How good is Will Hardy when he's got freaking Svi Mikhailuk losing his mind in this game? Svi Mikhailuk in this one goes freaking 6 for 13 from the field, 6 for 12 from 3. All he does is hit threes. 18 points. I can't understand it. And then you got Drew Eubanks hitting corner threes. It's just like, Will Hardy's the best coach in the NBA, I guess. It's like what we're dealing with. But anyways, what I wanted to say is Will Hardy is so good he can win with freaking Svi Mikhailuk. That's how good Will Hardy was. But what Will Hardy did at one point is the Blazers started going on a run, and he let the run happen. He kept Cody Williams. Like, he could have stopped it. I was actually talking to Clint. I was like cheering because I was like, you know what? I'm not seeing the Jazz put their starters in yet. He held them out. The Blazers got the lead, and they ended up getting like a 5-6 point lead, and that was with 5 or 6 minutes left, and that's when Will Hardy put in the starters. That's when he did it. Will Hardy 100% deserves credit for this because the Jazz front office has to make the trade. So I guess what I want to say here is that I was super hard on the Jazz, and they deserved it. They deserved it. We are not about telling lies here. We are about the truth. We are about being open and honest about what's going on. And they deserved the criticism. I wrote extensively on SLC Dunk. They deserved every piece of criticism. For all that criticism, tonight, 100% they deserve praise. Will Hardy did the right thing. The Jazz front office sitting out 3 players. Keontae George, who's been playing very well. Very well. He's getting better and better every night. I don't think the Jazz lose this game if Keontae George plays tonight, to be honest. John Collins did not play, who's having a phenomenal season. And then, like we said, Jordan Clarkson, who's not having the greatest year. He hasn't had a really great year for the Jazz after 2 years, but he does provide stability and a scoring option when the offense falls apart. But the Jazz started it well. Will Hardy connected it well. At this point, Utah has to trade Colin Sexton. Everyone knows what Colin Sexton is at this point. Everyone knows who John Collins is at this point. They're playing extremely well. Will Hardy has coached them up to an exceptional level. It's going great. But Utah has to trade Colin Sexton, and I think that at that point kind of sets things for this Jazz team for the rest of the season. Utah should have lost against Brooklyn. If they don't have Colin Sexton playing against Brooklyn, Utah loses that game. But because of tonight, where they're sitting these guys and Will Hardy doing the right thing with coaching, Will Hardy saving this Jazz franchise from itself, the Jazz get the loss, and it was big time. And it took a freaking game winner from Scoot Henderson to do it. I'm very, very happy. I'm very proud of the Jazz for what they're doing because this is what it takes, guys. Like we said extensively last time, it's not even necessarily going for the number 1 pick, which I hope the Jazz do. I hope the Jazz get the number 1 pick. I hope, that's what we want. But you're playing to lose. And what I say by that is you are playing in the expectation that teams will jump you. And what that means is that if you get the number 2 spot in the lottery and you're playing with the idea that 2, 3, maybe 4 teams jump you, if you're at number 2 in the lottery, you get jumped by 4 teams, you still get the number 6 pick. And in a draft like this, where it basically looks like a top 7 draft, it's incredible. Utah has to secure top 3. They have to. Because even if you get to the 3 spot and you get jumped by 4 teams, you're still getting one of those premier 7 players. Those premier 7 players that have... It's a crazy draft, guys. It's really crazy. There's 7 guys in this draft that look like they can absolutely be a game changer for your team, including Kasparis Jakusonis, or however you say his name. He looks really nice. There's people that would take him over guys like VJ Edgecombe and Trey Johnson. In fact, on Tankathon, Trey Johnson's at 7, and they had him at 5 recently. So we're going to have guys improving and going up in the draft, and Utah has to do what they can to secure that floor. If they can secure the 5 spot, I mean, guys, if the Jazz get the number 1 spot and drop to 5, that's a huge win because that gets you VJ Edgecombe. By the way, we've got to talk a little bit about VJ Edgecombe, who had, it kind of feels like his whole season got set by one bad game to start this year. He had one dunk that absolutely almost annihilated a kid. But he only scored 4 points. One of them was an absolutely hellacious dunk. But ever since then, he has absolutely turned it around. And one of the interesting things about VJ Edgecombe, he's averaging 3.1 steals. He's the best in the entire draft in steals. 3.1 steals per game from Edgecombe, which is one of the best indicators of a successful NBA player. It's actually kind of crazy. He's the most athletic player in the draft. He's 3.1 steals per game. If you're thinking about changing your defense and you want a game changer, I still kind of think that my comp for VJ Edgecombe is Jaylen Brown. Honestly, he's kind of that caliber of prospect and pretty interesting. So basically, what I'm saying is, you want to keep that. If you can get that floor to be 5, then that is big time stuff, because then you can ensure yourself someone like VJ Edgecombe. Now, if you win the lottery, things get really exciting, because at worst, if you win the lottery, you get number 4, and that gets you Yegor Demon, 6'9" point guard in BYU, who is also potential game-changing prospect. What's really interesting about Yegor Demon too, and why I think he's going to be really good, the fact that he's playmaking, passing the ball. He's averaging 7.1 assists per game, which I think is tops in the draft. 6.4 for Ben Seraph. I haven't followed him. He's tied for Cam Jones at Marquette, who's a senior, and Demon's doing this at BYU as a first year, one and done. He's gonna be really good, guys. 6'9", 7.1 assists per game. He shoots it. He playmakes. But what's exciting is his 2 steals per game. Like I said, big time indicator of an NBA player. Now, why do steals matter? Well, it's a sign of, one, athleticism. It's a sign of length, and it's a sign of defensive acumen. It means that they can stay on the floor defensively. So big time, and it means they're a high IQ player. Guys that average lots of steals. You can't just be a great athlete. You've also got to understand and have basketball IQ, jump passing lanes. You've got to have that physical talent to just steal the ball. I mean, Kawhi Leonard is the best steals guy in my opinion I'm sure there's guys out there that could compete, but to me, Kawhi Leonard's one of the greatest all-time steals guys ever, just because of the way he stole the ball. He has those. I mean, we don't see him play right now, but he has those incredible hands. They're just massive, just incredible IQ, passing lanes, size, physicality, and he's one of those guys. Not all steals are alike, and I've talked about this before, but there's guys that just rip the ball out of your hands, and those are the kinds of dogs on defense you want, and that's what makes Kawhi Leonard such a special defender when he's doing that. Like, there were times, and I don't know if Kawhi Leonard's quite the same as he was back 5-6 years ago, but he was such a demon on defense. It was just scary stuff, and so anyways, all that to say that you want those guys that get those steals. That's why VJ Edgecombe is getting pretty interesting to me. Like, if the Jazz fall to like 5 or 6 and they get VJ Edgecombe, I'm pretty happy about that. That ability of him to score, the athleticism, the defense, the steals, all that stuff makes for an incredible prospect, and Utah really has that opportunity to do that. So anyways, back to the game. That's what the Jazz are playing for. Colin Sexton, I love Colin Sexton. I love the intensity. I love the mentality. He's a great locker room guy, great leader in a lot of different ways. He's got his flaws. He's a flawed player, but the things that he does well are really great. He's a great, efficient offensive player. You love the intensity and all those things. But, there's flaws there. So, let's see. So, anyways, I guess, do we want to go through stats a little bit? Lauri Markkanen, we know what he brings to the table, and it's just shooting. I mean, 4 for 8 from 3 tonight. He was awesome. He showed some really nice things tonight. Walker Kessler is an absolute beast. 5 points, 16 rebounds tonight. Incredible stuff. 2 blocks. He's a beast, and I think he really is kind of becoming a core player. I would honestly trade Markkanen before I traded Kessler at this point. I would trade Kessler if the Lakers, who, by the way, the Lakers are rumored now to be offering like up to 3 first-round picks. If they give you some big-time offer for Kessler and Sexton, then you got to think about it, because you got to get this pick and you got to keep building. And like I said, Utah has some serious questions about what they're doing this upcoming offseason, when they are going to have 10 young developing players on the team before you even talk about Lauri Markkanen, right? So Utah's got some serious questions to ask, and if Lauri Markkanen has the pain tolerance to be on another losing team, then whatever, it's fine if that's what he wants. Isaiah Collier hit a 3. I couldn't believe it tonight. We had a Drew Eubanks corner 3. We had an Isaiah Collier. He's running the pick and roll. He makes a pull-up 3. It kind of made me want to I just was like, I guess this pathetic existence of mine, this is how it's going to go. But he did it. Collier's got to learn to shoot, though, guys. If he does, things get pretty interesting. Tonight he was flirting with a triple-double. 7 points, 7 assists, 8 rebounds. You know? If he can learn how to shoot, it's interesting. But he's not going to be able to do it if he doesn't get minutes. And that's why Utah has to play these young guys. Sensabaugh all of a sudden isn't shooting it as well lately. I mean, he is getting more important minutes, and so that makes it hard. But he had 17 minutes tonight. And then Utah Jazz, you know, I loved Cody Williams in the draft, and I just think that we've got to give him time. And he's got to get time. He was perfect from 3 in this one. He hit a corner 3, and he was 2 for 3 from the field. He just needs minutes, and he just needs chances to build his confidence. And, you know, there's 2 ways to kind of do that. The Jazz have tried the one where they send him to the G League. I mean, they kind of did both already. One of them is you send them to the G League, let them do well, and you let them kind of dominate in the G League. Williams did fine in the G League, but he didn't have highly efficient numbers. And I wouldn't say that he, you know, played at a level that had us all kind of saying that he dominated games. You know, no one was writing home about Cody Williams in the G League. The other way you give a player confidence is just like letting them know that you got their back no matter what happens. And that's kind of what happened tonight. Cody Williams had 25 minutes, and that's kind of what happened to start the season. And, you know, he was minus 18. He struggled, but I think that's probably what you expect for Cody Williams getting on the floor and having to play big minutes, important minutes in a game like this. Utah has to keep doing that at this point because, 1, he'll either develop, which I think he will. He's just going to take time. But 2, Cody Williams is a little bit of the Jazz tank commander at this point. Utah needs to lose these games. And they've proven what they needed to prove, which I don't know what that was, by sending him to the G League and playing guys like Collins and John Collins and Colin Sexton and Jordan Clarkson and all these guys, all these veterans. But at this point, Utah has to decide what they are. And I was very, very happy that they made the right choice and they played Cody Williams. I mean, before the season started, they said that's what we are. We're a team that's developing young players. That's what they did tonight. Extremely successful. The Jazz front office deserves credit. Did the right thing. This was perfectly done. The Jazz had big time minutes from random guys. I mean, even Johnny Juzang was hitting these spot up threes, which we know he can. It really had me nervous. And so the Blazers had to earn this one. Utah did the right thing. Now, Utah has some interesting stuff coming up. Let's look up the schedule. Sorry, guys, I don't have my normal setup here, so this is a little janky, more janky than my normal janky show. I do need to open up because we gotta do things right here. But I can't really share my screen. I mean, I guess I could, but I'd have to. I'm on a freaking trackpad here, guys. All right. So, anyways, Utah plays on the 28th. Utah plays Philadelphia, and that's at home. That's no easy loss, right? Utah is playing at home against Philadelphia, who we'll see if Joel Embiid even plays, if Paul George even plays, and they lost Jared McCain. I don't even know. Did Tyrese Maxey get injured? I gotta see here. Of course he gets injured. Let's see. Tyrese Maxey, this was November 7th. Oh, Maxey must be back. Let's see. In fact, all right, now I want to... Sorry, guys, I'm looking this up because this is important to me. Utah plays Philadelphia next, and we need Tyrese Maxey to absolutely blow the Jazz out. But the thing is the Sixers have some nice role players that can absolutely beat the Jazz. Last 5 games. Oh, he played on Christmas. He scored 33. Okay, so never mind. I can rest easy. But Utah plays the Sixers 2 days from now, I think on Saturday. And then they play the Denver Nuggets next. They play New York. So Utah can string along some losses here. Then they've got to make a trade at some point, though, to get Sexton. If they could trade Sexton tomorrow, that would be a big-time thing. They have to do it. They have to do it. They have to do the Thanos throw Gamora into the pit thing. And Gamora is Sexton. You've got to do it. You've got to do it. You've got to do the hard things to get to to get the prize. If you want to be Thanos, you got to do Thanos things, right? All right, guys. I think that's basically the show tonight. Sorry, it's not my same setup, but you know, we're doing this in a different place, in a different setup, with different equipment. I'm in a closet, basically. Let me pull up. We got to give our All-Stars a shout-out. By the way, guys, if you're a Jazz fan and you haven't subscribed yet, please do. I would really appreciate it. Shout out to Dre joining Rookie just recently. Shout out Dre, baby. Dre, you were on the playback tonight. That's awesome. Shout out to Dre. But let's give our All-Stars a shout out. Shout out to all the All-Stars. You guys don't know how much you mean to me. It means the world. Thank you so much. Let's give a shout out to Ryan Edward Perry, the legend. Baby Elliott Madsen. See you, Lex. Oh, and we got to do our draft. We will do it right after this. Baby Elliott Madsen. See ya, Lex later. I think I gave you your birthday shout out, Lex. Happy birthday if I didn't. Christian House Money to Haas, The Outlaw Jesse James Nelson, Jordan the Goat Besserell, Austin R. Grant Editor Extraordinaire, KG10 to TH5, and Patrick Akubo, the Connoisseur. All right, we got to do our nightly mock. Utah's solidly now in the 5th spot. Now 2.5 games ahead of Portland. This was a big-time loss for Utah, locking in this bottom 5. If we can lock in bottom 5, I guess I'm getting very just dejected. But Utah's got to get to the top 3. Maybe 2, possibly even 1. Washington won tonight, guys, putting the New Orleans Pelicans at the 1 spot. What an absolutely crazy season. But guess what? Zion Williamson's coming back, and if Utah can sneak their way past Washington, if they can stupidly win some games, then that can help out Utah a ton. But Utah did some dumb things and won some games that put them tied with Toronto and tied with Charlotte. They got to make that right. Get ahead, Jazz. All right, let's see what would happen if the lottery was today. What would happen? You know what? It happened. I criticized the Jazz. They jump. Tonight, I praised the Jazz, and they fall to 7. But they lock in the 7th spot, which gets them Trey Johnson. Is it Trey Johnson? Yeah, Trey Johnson is there at 7. The Jazz can grab him, having a phenomenal season for the Texas Longhorns. Guys, that's the show tonight. Make sure you like and subscribe. And if you want to support the channel, I would really appreciate by joining. That's all I got, guys. I will be back on Saturday. I think I'll be on my normal setup then. I'll also be on the playback where you can watch me there. And guys, like I said, like and subscribe. I will talk to you